3257. What is absolute altitude? A. The altitude read directly from the altimeter. B. The vertical distance of the aircraft above the surface. C. The height above the standard datum plane. The correct answer is B. Absolute altitude refers to the vertical distance between an aircraft and the underlying surface, such as the ground or water. It is the actual physical height above the surface, measured in feet or meters. Absolute altitude can be determined by subtracting the surface elevation from the aircraft's altimeter reading. Unlike indicated altitude, which is the altitude read directly from the altimeter, absolute altitude takes into account the varying terrain and ground elevation. It provides information about the aircraft's height above the ground or other surface features, which is particularly important for visual navigation, terrain clearance, and obstacle avoidance. 3258. What is density altitude? A. The height above the standard datum plane. B. The pressure altitude corrected for non-standard temperature. C. The altitude read directly from the altimeter. The correct answer is B. Density altitude is a measure of the density of the air in relation to the standard atmosphere. It is calculated by adjusting the pressure altitude, the altitude indicated on the altimeter, when set to the standard atmospheric pressure of 29.92 inches of mercury, for non-standard temperature variations. As temperature changes from standard atmospheric conditions, air density also changes, which affects aircraft performance. Density altitude is used to determine an aircraft's performance characteristics, such as takeoff distance, climb rate, and engine power output. Higher density altitudes, which occur in warmer temperatures or at higher elevations, result in decreased aircraft performance, as the reduced air density affects lift, thrust, and other factors. 3259. What is pressure altitude? A. The indicated altitude corrected for position and installation error. B. The altitude indicated when the barometric pressure scale is set to 29.92. C. The indicated altitude corrected for non-standard temperature and pressure. The correct answer is B. Pressure altitude is a vertical distance measurement above a reference datum, usually mean sea level, and is determined by setting the barometric pressure scale on the altimeter to the standard atmospheric pressure of 29.92 inches of mercury, or 1013.2 millibars. It represents the height in the atmosphere where the pressure would be the same as the set standard pressure. Pressure altitude is used to determine aircraft performance, aircraft separation in airspace, and to establish altimeter settings for accurate altitude indications. It is not affected by variations in atmospheric pressure caused by weather conditions. 3260. Under what condition is indicated altitude the same as true altitude? A. If the altimeter has no mechanical error. B. When at sea level under standard conditions. C. When at 18,000 feet MSL with the altimeter set at 29. The correct answer is B. Indicated altitude is the altitude read directly from the altimeter when the barometric pressure scale is set to the local altimeter setting. It represents the height above the surface of the Earth. However, indicated altitude does not necessarily correspond to the true altitude, which is the actual vertical distance above sea level. In standard atmospheric conditions at sea level, where the altimeter setting is 29.92 inches of mercury, or 1013.2 millibars, the indicated altitude and true altitude are the same. This assumes that the altimeter is properly calibrated and free from any mechanical error. At higher altitudes or under non-standard atmospheric conditions, variations in temperature and pressure can cause the indicated altitude to differ from the true altitude, and corrections must be made using altimeter settings and temperature deviations. 3261. If it is necessary to set the altimeter from 29.15 to 29.85, what change occurs? A. 70-foot increase in indicated altitude. B. 70-foot increase in density altitude. C. 700-foot increase in indicated altitude. The correct answer is C. The altimeter setting represents the barometric pressure at a given location. When the altimeter setting changes, it affects the altimeter's indication of altitude. Each inch of mercury in Hg change in the altimeter setting corresponds to approximately 1,000 feet of altitude change. In this case, the altimeter setting is being changed from 29.15 in Hg to 29.85 in Hg, resulting in a difference of 0.7 in Hg. Since each inch of mercury represents around 1,000 feet of altitude, a change of 0.7 in Hg corresponds to a 700-foot increase in indicated altitude. The actual altitude of the aircraft may not have changed. Rather, the altimeter reading has been adjusted to account for the change in barometric pressure.